our thoughts about showcase, first competition. B, what'd you think? Parents sitting out there in the crowd, what were your thoughts?
For Showcase, I thought it was really good. I feel, and I know Showcase, for people that don't know, Showcase is Ashley's baby. She will say that. Anyone will tell you that. And that is, Jason's wife. I think Ashley does a amazing job every year of putting on Showcase and how organized it is. There has to be so much like blood, sweat, and tears that goes into that. I think every year it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Why we were in our new, location this year. And as bad as it sounds, like I still feel like it was a little too small for us. Um, and I think that anyone that went to our showcase could agree. We were there early. We actually tailgated all day long. And when we went to showcase, there were people already standing in line. People were standing in line for like 2.5 hours before showcase started. And I get it because they wanted to get in and get like the perfect spot. The good thing about our seating where we were at this year is I don't really think there was a bad spot in the house. For the first performance for the girl or first session, I sat to the very right. And then for the second session, I was pretty much like in the middle at the top. I thought it was a really good turnout. I think all the teams looked really good. It's just nice to see like all the hard work that they've been putting in through the summer and then the weekly practices to see it like finally come together. I know that my kids were excited about Showcase, and I don't really feel like they've ever been excited, but I think as they get older, they're finally like, oh, our hard work's paying off. We finally get to perform. So I thought it ran really, really smooth, and, hats off to Ashley because she did such a great job, and she does a great job every year, but we're just growing so much that, it was pretty crowded.
Yeah. And yeah, you gave a shout out to Ashley. I'm going to give a shout out to the parents that helped and volunteered. We have a lot of parents that helped and volunteered. I didn't plan on doing this, but I'll do it right now. Not even sure if any of them listen to the pod. But let's see. Kallenbergers helped out. Chase was there. Uh, Leslie, Amy, Teresa Yorba. Not even sure who else was there. If I'm missing anyone, B, you probably helped out a bit. I don't even know. Did you help out? What'd you do? Did you help out at
I
all?
I did not help out, but if Ashley ever wanted me to, I would. I don't mind. I will have to say this though, because I've totally forgot to bring it up to you. For the second session for Youth Black, I had did two
Mm-hmm.
shout outs, and
Mm-hmm.
Kinsley's only got red. Ryland's didn't get red. So she asked me, she's like, did you do a shout out for me? I'm like, yeah, I don't know what happened. Like, I'll have to talk to Coach Jason. So poor girl
No,
didn't get
I
a
remember
shout out.
reading. I actually don't remember. I remember reading both of them because they were apart. I remember them being apart from each other. I remember reading one of them and expecting the next one to be the other one, and it wasn't. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then it was the very next one. And I was like, okay, that's better. Because I was going to make a joke about, oh, you only did one twin. But I was like, oh, I'm not going to do it. And I don't remember specifically in the second session. But I remember that scenario in the first session because I remember it was odd that they weren't like right next to each other. Like, oh, they must have got mixed up in the shuffle or whatever. Um, so yeah, Kensley, Rylan, both your parents love you, and shout out. But yeah, I thought the showcase went good. It was great to get out there in October. To get out so early and just to be, having that deadline just forces you to get the teams ready. So it was great to feel like that pressure of having to be ready for the competition or for the showcase and then be ready for it. So that was good. I felt like the teams were really prepared. We talked before the last time we were on. You're like, how do you feel? How do you feel the teams? And I was saying something like, yeah, I feel like the teams are going to be ready, and I feel like I feel like they have done everything they need to do to be prepared for the moment. And I thought the teams looked great. I really did. If you didn't know, we did our showcase on the infamous air track. So last year, TSN with Tammy Van Fleet, they rolled out the air floor for the first time, and there was lots of discussion, lots of controversy about the air floor. Like, is this safe and blah blah and all these things. And we were going to do our showcase. As B keeps saying, we did our show. We moved the showcase from American, and we actually did it at the local high school. Oh yeah, shout out to Corey Robb, who is the dean at Liberty and who was one that hooked us up with the venue. But we were like, oh, we don't feel like moving a whole spring floor. Like, this is going to be crazy. And so we're like, what can we do with the air floor? So we talked to Tammy, reached out to her, and we got to borrow the air floor. And, Tammy came on, talked about the air floor and, just everything. She gave her defense on the air floor and why it was safe and everything. But there's a lot of people who were like, oh, it was so unsafe and all these things. So naturally, I was a little bit nervous about it. I will be honest with you. I was a little bit nervous about the air floor, but my whole thought process was, of our 12 teams, well, we have 12 American teams plus Freedom 13 plus Cheer 101 and Cheer 202. So what is that? 13, 14, 15. So we have about 15 performances or so. There might be another team in there that I'm missing. Oh, 16 with fundamentals. So we had 16 performances. And of those 16 performances, we have youth level 3 who has to do like airbound tricks, senior level 3, and senior level 4. And so those were the teams I was most nervous about with the air floor. And I was like, okay, well, it's a small percentage of our program. And, those are the teams that if we had to make any adjustments, those are the teams we'll make adjustments for. So, we get the air floor. I made sure that thing was pumped up to the brim. I didn't want it to be, like a bounce house, inflatable, kids flying everywhere. So I pumped it up as much as I could and tried to make it like pretty stiff. And then with all of those teams, we had them do their round off handspring tucks. And first, I told them when we first got there, when we first started warming up tumbling, like, hey guys, first things first, I only care about your safety. Your safety is the only thing that matters. We don't have anyone to impress here in this gym. We're out here so we can get in front of a crowd, but your safety, and that is number one, first priority. So if, we're tumbling and you don't feel comfortable throwing, your tuck or whatever, just let me know. We'll water it down. We'll make whatever adjustments we need to so that you feel comfortable out there on the floor, So I told them that, but we warmed up, we did a lot of punches and just a lot of like general tumbling warm up basics so they could get really used to the floor. Standing tumbling was all fine. Then we get into running tumbling and, we have them again, all the basics over and over and over again so they could really feel the floor. And, we get into round offs and series handsprings, and they do tucks and they're fine. And then we just told them, hey guys, for the level 3 teams, we just said, hey, we'll do both teams open up with round off handspring tucks. We'll do the round off handspring tucks. And then for the combo passes later, let's just go ahead and throw front walkover, round off handspring. We don't need to do the tuck at all. And so we did that with all the teams. All the kids felt comfortable with that. And for the level 4 team, they just did everything round off handspring tucks, no matter what their pass is in the routine, round off back handspring tuck. And so they did standing 2 handsprings in a tuck, standing 1 handspring in a tuck, round off handspring tucks for all of their running tumbling passes. And everyone was great. It went really well. It went really well. I think the floor, I thought it was a good floor. I honestly think that it was a good floor. Now, my biggest, what most people are most nervous about, or would be most nervous about, and probably should be most nervous about, is that the athletes don't get a regular opportunity. It's not the surface that they practice on, right? It's not the surface that they practice on. And during a competition day, nerves go up and kids do funky things when their nerves go up. So now their nerves are up. And so now we have 2 variables. We have the variable of the floor plus the variable of just them not being, completely focused, right? And so I was a little worried about that. But watering down the running tumbling, eliminating that and only having to do round off hamstring tuck, that eliminated a lot of like variables that could happen, right? And the athletes were great. It really was. So I thought that went well. We had a kid, this is real legit. We had a kid pee on the floor, like one of the tiny twinkles.
Oh my
A tiny
goodness.
twinkle, yes. During warm-ups, a tiny twinkle peed on the floor. And they're like, "Coach, we got a scenario." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's pee or whatever." But it was super cool because I grabbed a rag, I had some some soapy water on me. I happened to have some on me, and sprayed it, cleaned it up, and there we go, right? And the kids were talking to me during after, and they're like, "So, coach, like, what'd you really think of the floor?" And I basically told I don't think it's a bad idea for the industry to transition to this. I'm not saying that we should. I don't think it's a terrible idea though. And the kids were kind of like, but yeah, it's that. And I'm like, guys, I totally understand. When I cheered, I totally understand it's a different floor. And so kids would have to get used to that. The whole industry would have to transition to it. But when I was cheering, we did not have spring floors. When I was doing All Stars, we only had hard floor, and that's what we were used to. And when the spring floor got introduced, anytime I tumbled on a spring floor, I absolutely hated it. And I probably felt the same way that athletes tumbling on that floor the way I felt about tumbling on the spring floor, these athletes feel about tumbling on the air floor, right? Because it was just totally foreign. It was just something different. So athletes would have to get used to it. But in general, um, I told him a kid like a month ago or so got hit in the nose at practice, broke her nose is bleeding, blood gets on the floor, and we go and we clean it up, right? And we try our best, but it's in the carpet. So we spray some stuff, we put some paper towels over it, and we soak it up, but it is blood and it's in the carpet. And the kids put tape over it. Like they just put tape over it, and so there's like a spot on the ground with tape on the floor in the Southwest. So you ever see that in the spot in the Southwest, it's because someone was bleeding there. And I told the kids, look at the difference between these two scenarios. When that kid peed on the floor, I went over there with soap and water, wiped it up, we're all good. When there was blood on the floor the other day at the Southwest, you know what we did? We just put tape over and called it a day, right? So there's like a significant like hygiene, cleanliness difference between having that air floor and your traditional spring floor. I don't think the industry is going to switch over to the air floor, but I think that the industry should give it an opportunity because once kids get on, I think it'll be it'll be easier for everyone in general to have it. That was just my opinion on the floor. I thought showcase went well. First competition, unless you want to talk about the air
No,
floor.
I'm good. I mean, my kids said that they loved it. Most people that I know, their kids have air tracks anyways, and it's just bigger. My kids, I asked Kinsley how it was, and she's like, I got so much higher, which makes sense. But I think it's just like change. People don't like change, so you have to get used to it. But it worked fine for me. I'm not out there tumbling on it or coaching on it, so um, I probably don't understand it as much as coaches or athletes do. But I think it's like the sanitary thing, like you brought up. I think that's a big thing. That's pretty. Um, it's definitely more cleanliness. But my girls liked it, so it is what it is.